weekly Bugle. The first thing we're going to talk about here is the calendar for the Winterverse event. It's a lot of good rewards. It's a lot of good rewards, actually.
Yeah, I mean, December 20th. It runs from December 20th to January 2nd, rather.
Yeah.
And you get rewards individual days. So, like, starting on the 20th, get 100 credits. That's, that's okay, whatever.
It all adds up.
21st, 21st, you got 30 boosters of a random card. Um, Also help that up to build up your collector's level. 22nd, we got 100 gold. That helps with refreshing your missions and or saving up for the bundles we talked about last week.
I recommend saving up for the bundles.
I would too, probably, but, you know, what am I? 23rd, you get 100 credits, which also helps with your collector's level of buying variants, maybe.
Yeah.
24th, we get 150 credits. 25th, we get a Nick Fury virtually autographed variant. So it's 5/7, but the really cool thing about it is it's, virtually autographed by Samuel L. Jackson.
Yep, that's cool.
So it would look cool in your Shield collector's deck, for
right.
sure. Boxing Day, or December 25th, for those that don't celebrate Boxing Day.
Oh yeah, they're butts.
We get 200 gold. Kind of discussed the value of gold already. 27th, we get 50 credits. That's okay. 28th, we get 30 Angela boosters. That's cool for me because I like Angela.
Yeah.
29th, we get 100 credits. 30th, we get 30 boosters of a random hero again. 31st, we get a new variant of Black Panther.
Yep. Of the the avatar, the hero avatar. Yeah. It's the player icon thing.
Yep. January 1st or New Year's Day, we get 500 credits. That's a pretty big boost for credits.
One infinite from Ultra or whatever.
And then January 2nd, we get another 200 gold, which is pretty solid. So total, we get 1,000 credits, 60 random boosters, 30 Angela, 500 gold, the autographed Nick Fury, and the Black Panther icon. Which is a pretty good event. I mean, 1,000 credits you can upgrade multiple cards with. Boosters just help pad your ability to upgrade cards. The Angela boosters only really is helpful if you really like Angela in particular. But I do, so that's kind of intriguing.
Yeah.
500 gold, that, as we discussed last week, will be useful for saving up towards those bundles. The Nick Fury variant is really cool, especially if you don't already have Nick Fury, because that's the way you can get him, plus get a pretty cool looking version of him. And the icon, the Black Panther icon, is just a way for you to customize and make yourself unique in game, which you're always welcome. So all in all, I think a pretty good event. It's worth the time investment, because it's really just log on every day, check your inbox, accept your gift, and then if you don't want to play, you don't have to. Of course, we're addicted to the game, so we're gonna play a few games, but for just logging on, you're getting some good stuff. It's hard to complain about it.
Yeah.
And
is your phone next to your mic?
No.
I keep getting phone interference in your. Sounds like phone interference.
Nope, phone's not near my mic.
Okay, it's the sound that happens when that's happening, kind of thing.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but I don't know.
No, it's fine now. Stop. We can just go.
Weird.
Yeah, no worries.
All right.
So Well, I think we already talked about the new cards, so
Yeah, yeah.
I
I was
think
just gonna
now we
go
got
with the
the variants. And when they announced them, they didn't have the Abomination one in the original announcement. So if you're looking at this now, going, "Oh wait, there's 5." Yes, there are 5 now. So there's Patriot, and he's on a sled, but it's his shield that's the sled, So he's sledding on his shield. Ebony Maw's flinging snowballs instead of whatever Ebony Maw likes to normally fling at people. Abomination looks like a Christmas tree in front of a snowman. Rock Slide is probably one of the low key mental ones that's cute because he's doing Christmas wrapping, right? And there's a tree behind him and all that, and a fireplace to his side. But he's a rock. He's got scissors in one hand and wrapping paper in the other. Rock, scissors, paper. And I think that's funny, right? So low key, that one's actually a really nice one. And then you got Rogue with the peppermint cocoa with the candy cane in it, and the snow bunny kind of outfit. And I think that's cool because with the mittens and all, Rogue can't touch people.
fits the character because she can't touch people with it stealing their,
Yeah, so it was pretty. That one's pretty cool. Yeah, that one's definitely pretty cool. Alright, so this first screen grab we got here.
It's funny. He thought he had something big on the limbo.
Yeah, he thought he had, that, and so he also, because the Nexus, right, adds to everywhere you're playing, and he had put Wong and Mystique there, which means he gets a quadruple, reveal on his cards, right? But I put Arrow at Death's Domain, which you can't see because it killed Arrow, but because I pulled Arrow to Death's Domain, Odin never procced with Ironheart on the Nexus in any way, so they ended up on Death's Domain, and they died. Well, they didn't really die. I died. But I mean, they lost.
Yeah.
So it worked out nice.
The quadruple,
Yeah. Arrow's a really powerful card on turn 6 sometimes. If you know you're winning lanes, if you're winning 2 out of 3 lanes, you could just play it at the lane you're losing and make them play all their cards there, and then haha, I win. I mean, unless they're buff cards.
Work well with the Death Domain though, because
because you're not going to play there. And it worked really well too with the fact that the Nexus, gave me most of my power, and then I just added a little 13 on top of it at Limbo. The next one we got, this one was fun because I lost, but look at that Medusa. That is a very large Medusa right there. Ironheart, Wong, Medusa, Odin on the one spot, and pretty much Medusa's a 23, I think. I mean, that's big.
Played him in the middle, right?
Yeah.
He Wong with Ironheart and then Odin, right?
Yep.
So, oh man. Ooh.
Yeah, so that was a pretty lit play. I've never seen that before, and I thought that was pretty cool.
If I was him, though, I would have played Medusa first.
Well, no, because you want the double on reveal from Medusa, because it's not an ongoing. If played at the middle on reveal, right? So they did it with Wong.
Are you
sure?
It's not an unreal effect either, though. It's just a default effect.
Oh, okay.
At least unless they changed it. They could have changed it since I last used Medusa. But when I last used Medusa, it was just he gets +2 power if you play him in the middle. It's not on reveal or ongoing, right? It's just he gets it.
No, it's an on reveal. Card ability for Medusa on reveal if this is at the middle location +2 power. That's why it got so big.
Okay.
The whole thing was playing it on Wong.
I'm pretty sure it used to be just a regular thing, because it's been a while since I've used Medusa.
No, I think it's always been on reveal. It's just one of those weird ones. It's a weird on reveal.
I still think I
don't think it ever was.
I still would consider playing them first, though.
But then you don't get the on reveal twice, and then you don't get the on reveal twice more. That card would have been tiny. It's a 2-power card. If they play it the way you're talking about, I win. So, no, they needed to play it that way. The next one up, though, is your, you called it Silver Surfer at the bar.
Yeah. I only won this one because they didn't know how to properly utilize their Patriot. And the fact that the Silver Surfer buffed himself 3 times from the Bar Sinister. But they didn't have enough no ability cards to be buffed with their Patriot at Bar Sinister.
Yeah, it made their Hulk pretty big, but it wasn't enough because you've got stuff that's much bigger, and you got 4 of them.
I mean, my Maximus alone, like, deals pretty well, because the Maximus becomes, what?
He looks like he's 19
3,
there.
4 times, right?
Yeah, he looks like a 19, so that's, like, pretty big. Hulk's only 3 power more, and then you've got, like, a 17 Wolfsbane, a 17 Juggernaut, a 12 Ironheart, so...
The 12 Ironheart was nice, like, because normally he's a 0, right?
Yeah, she's normally a 0.
I mean, sure, I lost the right lane, but, I mean, Bar Sinister's got 18, and I knew that my Silver Surfer was going to beat 18 because he played his
left lane.
His Bar Sinister early. Right? I waited to the final turn to lay Silver Surfer. So
right.
I already knew I had a bunch of cards that were going to be buffed on the left, or on the right, rather. Plus, Silver Surfer was going to buff himself. So I knew as long as I could win the right, I was going to win the middle because of the buffs. Right?
Yeah.
And I just conceded the left, but I mean, I think that's a fair concede, right? Because he couldn't lay any big cards because I goosed him.
Yeah.
So it's like I still had a chance of winning until he laid the mighty Misty or whatever there.
Yeah, the Misty Knight. So the next one's the one I did where, so it was a Mojo World, and you have to, play 4 cards there to get 100 power, or the card, the player with the most cards, which basically means you need to have 4 if you're going to play there.
Yeah, you want to max it out. You want to max it out early.
Yeah, because you can see that if I did not have 4 there, I still would have had a pretty high score because I had like 70, right? But that extra 100 is really nice. So, it was 70 to 15 there, but I had the extra 100. Now, I won this on a tiebreaker because Machine World, he had a 7 Carnage and I had a 7 Gamora. And then Nova Roma I lost, but I didn't care about. I threw Psylocke there just to take up space and not play him at play her at Machine World, because if I play her at Machine World, she, could give them a potentially beneficial play late or mid with that energy. So I didn't want them to have that.
Flying her at a location that you're going to lose, you're still going to get her ability.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Any ground, really, because you already know you're in that location.
Yeah, that let me play Wong before Shuri, and then play Shuri into Wong, which allowed me to get a Black Panther with 64. And so that was pretty nice. And then I just dropped, like, the Nightcrawler there so that I would have 4 cards at the end, basically. Because, or I think I moved him. I think I moved him because I probably played him at mid to start, would be my guess, because I usually do. But yeah, so that was a pretty nice one. Tiebreaker. He led by 27. I led by 100 and some fucking huge number. So.
And then we've got. Another one.
Yeah, this one was. This one was fun. So X Mansion gave me it gave me Infinite, and then something gave me a Typhoid Mary. I don't remember where I grabbed Typhoid Mary. Oh, I know what this is. It's my 0 deck. It is my Typhoid Mary. This was the Zero deck I made. So I got Zero this past week since our last podcast. And so the way Zero works is it nullifies the ability of the next card you play. So I had played it, with like Ebony Maw or something like that. And then I played Beast to pull it back. And then that makes it free to play again. So then I played it where my Darkhawk got played, but that's not even what really happened, I don't think, because what ended up happening is that destroyer out there wiped his entire field, and he didn't play that destroyer. He played a Darkhawk there. I had Darkhawk in my hand with like Zero and something else or some shit. I don't remember. But it just yoinked a bunch of cards out, right? And so my Darkhawk pulled out their destroyer. And their destroyer went, bah! And just wiped the fucking field. And I won. Because they played a card. Yeah. They played Darkhawk and lost. Because that happened.
I've won that way with, like, not Destroyer in particular, but they laid Deathlock. A couple weeks ago, and I won our location, which won me the game because they laid Deathlock, which was great.
But yeah, it's pretty funny because Destroyer was in their hand. They had no intention of playing it. They put Darkhawk down, and surprise, motherfucker, I got one of those too. And it pulled their Destroyer out. It was great.
I think I called this one.
You called this one Silver Surfer, Clone Vats, and Storm or something like that. I don't remember.
This one's the one that I said F Doom, F Doctor Doom or something.
I don't remember.
They thought they were going to win because of the bots.
Right. Because they get the
and
extra
the bots
5.
didn't give them enough power, yeah.
Not even close. Not even close.
They laid Doctor Doom at the cloning vats after laying
they had 2 Hawkeyes. Yeah, that's a little weird.
Which can work if you take full advantage of his ability.
Yeah, he's just a 1 there because they played Squirrel Girl in the wrong spot. Or no, because Central Park opened. That's why. And they didn't want to play there again. That's what it was. Yeah. Oh, wow.
So I fucking didn't land in there at first, so Central Park kind of limited my ability there, but I had Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And then I Wolfbane, which, and then I'm just for the sake of it, I Silver Surfered again, which won me secured the middle because I buffed Maximus twice and Storm. I won the middle pretty quick because I stormed.
The second Silver Surfer probably won you the cloning vats because it buffed Silver Surfer and Wolfsbane.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's exactly how it went. Yep.
That's pretty good.
I mean, I only got 4 cubes out of it, but he thought he was going to win with the Doctor Doom bots. It's like, no, dude, you did your math wrong.
Nice. Definitely nice.
He would have stood a better chance if he had properly used his Hawkeye, but...
So we're here with Red Ocean today. He's our guest on the podcast this week. Consequently, anyone who does want to be a guest, just let us know in the comments or send us an email, and we'll try to arrange that. So this week we're gonna kick off talking about. I think there's 2 new cards. We've got Darkhawk and Sentry. I haven't pulled either of them, but they're the 2 new cards that came out during this winter event. I know that the Darkhawk is a 4/1 card, right?
Yep, he's a 4/1.
Yeah, and he duplicates 2 power for every card in the opponent's deck. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's correct.
So it's +2 power for every card in your opponent's deck.
Yeah, so that's like a twist on the Ronin Moon Girl kind of thing. It's interesting.
The problem with that is it's ongoing, not reveal. So as your opponent plays cards, or draws cards rather, he loses power.
Yeah, so it would have, I think, best effect what, like against like a Moon Girl who's gonna double the
Yeah.
the hand,
Yeah.
and so then they
Well-
wouldn't, well, because they wouldn't draw as many cards after because their hand would be full, right?
Moon Girl or a location that randomly fills your hand.
Yeah,
But yeah, if you're building it for deck synergies, it would work best against Moon Girl. Yes.
probably be bad against something like Lamentis because then you have no deck.
Yeah, the best possible
Lamentis
role
would
for
destroy it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
the
a
best-
or a destroy deck would destroy it as well.
Yeah, your best possible role for a location for synergy with Darkhawk would be District Hits. Instead of giving you 10 cards in your deck.
Okay, yeah. And you already have like cards drawn. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he works out very well with, of course, Korg on turn 1. If you can have Korg on turn 1 with Rock Slide on turn 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have the best curve, and then of course if you can, the best curve that I would think you would have would be curve 1, Black Widow on 2 to stop them from drawing, and then Rock Slide on 4. And then by the end of the game, you should have around 6 cards in your deck. So he should be.
Location-wise, could also work well with Vibranium Mine.
Right, if they
Yeah.
choose to play into it. Yeah.
Or like Lechugia, where you play into the rocks.
Yep.
But that would
Subterranean
have to
as
have
well.
Yep, that would have to have your opponent playing into those. Well, Subterranea just draws, but
They
The
would
other
have
two.
to know that. They would have to not know you were running that deck in order for that to work.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, Subterranean adds 5 cards to your deck, 5 rocks to your deck
Right.
immediately as soon as
Yeah.
it's revealed.
yeah,
So, yeah, also very, very good. So I think he has a lot of potential. Of course, he has a lot of potential with Mr. Negative as well.
Yes.
You can make him a 1/4.
yes, and I think that would make him actually really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would actually. Yeah.
Because
If
like
everyone
adding
does
on to
one,
one
I'll
is
definitely
small.
try it. Oh yeah, I would definitely try it if I got my hands on it.
Yeah.
And of
yeah.
course, your win condition, you'll want to snipe them down, pretty early on turn 4. Let them start absorbing that power. If you want to, you can also put a goose in this lane after you snipe them down, so he can't be Enchantress turn 6.
Yeah.
And then of course, or you can just hold him out to turn 5, and then snipe him down on 5, or 1-drop plus him, and then Mystique on turn 6 with another 3-drop.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly explosive.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. The other card that got added was the Sentry, and that one you can't play. You have to play on the right lane, or you can't play in the right lane.
And not play it right lane.
Yeah, so you have to play it on the left or the mid.
Right.
On reveal also adds a -8 void to the right location.
Which I feel like would give him good synergy with Zero, so you're not shooting yourself in the foot at another location. Because I'm assuming the void's a negative on your side, like you're hobgoblining
It's
yourself.
essentially a Hobgoblin, right?
Yeah. So that would be good with Zero, because then you could have a powerful card, but not have to have the void.
You can also play him into a
or if
Cosmo
your
lane.
opponent leeches you. If your opponent leeches you,
Yeah.
that would work too.
Yeah, or playing him into a Cosmo lane, like Ocean's saying, that'd be a good way to play him too.
Yeah.
Cosmo, and of course, you can put him down for his power. He has really good stats. He's very bulky. He's just under Shang-Chi range with his 8 power. He's really cheap
Yeah.
at 4 cost. And
You could also synergy him with. You could lay Storm turn 3, lay him turn 5.
Well, how do you put
No,
him
it would
on
have to-
Storm
it would have to
3 at 5? You can
Yeah.
only play in one more turn.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Is play Storm on the right side, right? Let Storm's location flood.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Play a combo there and then use him at a different side.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you could do that to lane 2 different ways using Storm, or to do 2 different lanes. That way you use Storm.
That way you don't have to worry about that -8 power on the right side because it's flooded, right?
Maybe. I think cards like that can be added though.
yeah. It can still be added. It's not played.
Yeah,
So
it's
it
only
will
played
still
cards.
spawn. Yeah, the most bit brain play I was thinking of is on you hold him until turn 5. You run Iron Fist, right?
Ooh.
So you play Iron Fist on turn 5, I'm sorry, you play Iron Fist with Spider-Man on turn 5. You play Spider-Man in the far right lane. Well, you Iron Fist first, play Spider-Man far right lane. He'll make it where they can't play cards in the far right lane. Then you play Sentry somewhere in the left or middle. And then you Viper to void over
Oh yeah.
turn 6. Because
that's a
right.
nice play.
Yeah, that's a
right,
good one.
because if you do it that way, because if you don't have Iron Fist with your Spider-Man,
Right.
you could possibly send them a Spider-Man over when you Viper on turn 6.
Right.
So to guarantee they get the void, you can Iron Fist, Spider-Man in far right, knock them over into the middle, and then play Sentry somewhere left or middle. Then you Viper far right, and then it's a 16 power play, I believe, when you add all together. Because Sentry's 8, Viper's 3, void is -8. So really, if you add the minus you're giving them plus the power on your side, it's a 19 power swing turn 6.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Which is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah,
So-
that's like right up there with like Infinite or something for a turn 6 play.
Right, and it's spread across all your lanes.
Right.
You know,
Which
so
lets you
it's-
like split push, which a lot of times you come up against.
Get you the win. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I really am excited about Sentry. I really want to try him out.
Yeah, I was on the fence, but after that, yeah, the moving him over with the other card play, yes, that actually sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, really saucy card.
That's one of those ones that's like Titania, where you look at it on the surface and you're like, this looks like poop, and then you
Right,
start
right.
thinking about it and you're like, oh, I see what they did there.
Right.
The other way
That's
I
what
could
you got,
see it working. The other way I could see it working would be in my 1-cost deck,
Right.
because I could fill up the right side with weak 1-cost
Right.
cards, right?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
then lay him as a high power.
Yeah, and then
4-cost.
just deny the void altogether. Yeah.
Right. Professor X works good too.
Yes. Now, see, that would be like what you were thinking with Storm. Professor X, he's the
Yeah,
one that prevents
locks it down.
anything
Yeah.
in and out. He locks it down completely. So no movement, no additives, no nothing.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think Sentries is kind of one of those cards. Whereas more as the game keeps progressing, releasing new cards, you'll get more synergy with it. Just like
Yeah.
I think Sentry and Viper are just married together. I think
Yeah.
that those are just you have to have Viper in that deck.
Yeah.
To just have it.
It's kind of like Ebony Maw and Zero. Before I had Zero, Ebony Maw sitting there like taking up space on a board and not letting me play, you know. But you get
Right,
Zero and you're like, ooh, that's a big 1-cost card.
right.
Kind of like
yeah.
the Maximus situation too. Like if you don't want to give your opponent cards to draw, you play a Zero. So yeah, I'm hoping to see some good synergy cards for that coming out. I mean, that's kind of like Fury and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. Like they introduced a couple, and you're like, okay, these aren't that powerful, and then they start putting out Maria Hill, Coulson, and everybody else in the Power Cosmic update, and you're like, oh, well, okay then, that's actually a
Right.
good deck.
Right. I do like the shield archetype, but here's one thing I do wish. I think Nick Fury is probably one of the least played cards in the game.
For now.
I think he fumbles the bag heavily. What I think that they should do is
Yeah, he
that
does.
with the shield archetype, you know how they kind of recruit heroes, right, for their agency.
Yeah,
So I think Maria Hill, Agent Coulson, all of them are great. Agent 13 are great. Leave them as they are. But Nick Fury, he's Nick freaking Fury, right? And we know what he does, right? Like he assembles the Avengers that we know. Iron
Yeah.
Man, Thor, Captain
Yeah.
America, all that stuff, right? So what I think Nick Fury should do is, instead of giving you 3 random 6 drops, I think he should give you 1 Thor, 1 Captain America, 1 Iron Man, like to your hand, and then reduce their cost by like 1.
that actually would be pretty cool because just 3 random 6 costs. It's like, yes,
Right.
Nick Fury knows the big and heavy hitters, but
Right.
when it comes down, he's got the pager to Captain Marvel. I don't
Right.
think he's calling in, you know,
Doctor Doom.
yeah,
You
Doc
know?
Doom or something. Exactly.
Right.
He's not exactly, you know, calling in America Chavez here,
Right,
He's
exactly.
definitely pulling out that that Captain Marvel.
right?
Pager.
Like he's going otherworldly. If he's got to
Yeah,
go somebody
exactly.
from this world, it's going to be Tony Stark.
He's broke his morals. Like, why are you recruiting, you know, Doctor Doom, or why are you bringing in Infinite? Like,
Right?
it
Right.
makes sense if you were bringing in the actual Avengers, Actual like he has,
Right.
if you were to change like add 3 random Avenger cards or whatever to your hand, and like
Right.
reduce their cost by 1, so you can actually combo them a little bit.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Captain America for 2, Iron Man for 4, and maybe have a 1-drop Agent 13 or something.
Yeah,
like
and like
that.
if
That would make sense.
And if he gave you Thor, it's like no guarantee you're going to be able to make it work because he's really only going to be worth that 4 because unless you like Psylocke or Electro or something like that to where you could play Nick Fury early, you're not going to be able to, get that full benefit from those.
And I think even if you don't, it's okay because Thor is just really great stats for a 3-drop. So
he really is.
That's kind of what I think he should do, and it's kind of lore accurate too.
Mm-hmm.
But just a shower thought.
Yeah, because I mean, Agent Coulson's more the guy that's like, I'll find the random people, and they might not always be the ones that are ideal or what we really need or the heaviest hitter. I mean, so I think it's accurate for him.
Lore, right? Thinking of lore with like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I know technically isn't canon. It's like, yeah, that makes sense because who did he pull into his team? A bunch of fucking randoms,
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I think that would make the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, hell, at one point he had like Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider on the team. I mean, that's random as shit.
Yeah. Yep. That's true. Very accurate.
Bunch of humans and fucking,
Yeah. The most random Nick Fury gets is a scroll when he calls in Talos. So, I mean, maybe call in a super scroll or something off Nick Fury, but...
And I mean, they have a history, right? Him and Talos have a history, so...
Yeah. I think if they rework Nick Fury like that, dude, him with Quinjet, it'll be bonkers turn 6.
Yeah, that would be cool.
It's basically a Sarah deck at that point, but it's like Quinjet, Nick Fury on 5, and you can summon like 3 or 4 Avengers. Like,
yeah, it'd be a lot more interesting than Sarah too, and a little bit more predictable, like in terms of when you're facing it.
Yeah, but I think it'd be cool.
Oh, it'd just be fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely be a fun one. And then for Christmas, definitely make sure to log in and check on mobile in your inbox because they're doing a Sam Jackson virtual autographed Nick Fury variant. So if you don't have the card yet, boom, now you do.
Yep. Yeah, on Christmas Day. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be a good one. So then I think that'll take us to the strategies for success stuff. So we're talking about turn 6 today. So I'm going to hit the spinny for that, and then we'll be right back.
You want to talk about the roadmap?
The roadmap? Yeah, actually, yeah. You know what? We should talk about the roadmap. Let me figure out which one that is.
It's under Weekly Bugle still.
No, I know. I just have like 7 news items. There we go. Okay, I found it. I also need to move it because the way the cams are, it's over your head now. I'll cut around that in post. Okay, yeah, so the development roadmap. We've got 3 segments. There's coming soon, in development, and in concept. In the coming soon, we've got battle mode versus friends coming, which is the intentional matching that we've been waiting for. I think that's when the pro scene hits, is when we get intentional matching.
Yeah, there's a tournament mode within there, but there's also like one-on-one battles with friends as well, which is pretty cool.
And then they're going to allow us to name change too, which is great for streamers.
The battle with friends is a best of 3 essentially with 10 health, and then the tournament mode is just 10 health straight up, I believe.
Okay.
Based on what I know about it.
Interesting.
I actually didn't realize name change was a thing. I guess when I was reading the roadmap, I missed it.
Yeah, I'm excited for that because I didn't put TTV in there.
It's probably going to be like an item you have to pay with gold, probably.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, but
like 1,000 gold, change your name or something.
I'd do it the once just to have streaming it.
The other card game just lets you change it like every so often, where they're like, you can change it once and then you gotta wait like 90 days or whatever to change it again.
Yeah, maybe they'll do something like that. I'd be happy with that because I just want to put the TTV in there.
I think that should have a streamer mode. I'm not sure if it's on the priority or road list, but
Yeah, I would like a streamer mode because I always have people's names, and then when I screenshot stuff, I have to like put a box
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes you get bad names, and you're like, oof.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Hopefully they consider that.
Really want the PC widescreen UI though.
That would be nice. That would be nice, but yeah, that would be nice.
Some of the like layouts we're seeing for streaming, it's like having the PC UI would be a lot easier, I think.
Yeah, I'd probably lose all the space I have for all my like little thingies I have though. That would be the downside. Like my spreadsheets and shit.
There's always unique ways
Oh yeah.
of readjusting.
Oh yeah.
Also, in development, they've got an unranked mode.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I would like to test more decks.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It is really hard to test decks when you're losing rank, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like. Go ahead.
I was saying there's been plenty of times where I may be on my rank climb mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get serious with it. All right, I need to be reaching this rank, or I need to maintain this rank before season end. But it's like, man, I want to swap decks, and try and learn, another deck or practice a card or whatever, and you just can't without losing your cubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of why I got married to my one cost deck for so long. In the first season was like, I was starting to climb and I wanted to keep that climb going.
Yeah.
But it was becoming apparent that one cost wasn't going to be effective moving forward, especially once they introduced Killmonger. So it's like, but I didn't want to take the time to learn a new deck right away because I didn't want to lose the rank,
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yep. I'm interested to see what the new competitive modes are that they have in development as well, because I'm not sure what, like what they've got in mind there.
I imagine it, just spitballing, I imagine it's going to be like best of 3, kind of like Magik has a best of 3. They also have like commander mode, which I've never played in Magik, but I imagine there's still like different rule sets. Is kind of what they're going to go for. Maybe there will be like a wider playing field where there'll be like 5 spots instead of 3,
Okay, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, for me, I was hoping they would especially have like a co-op versus AI where you can just practice against AIs as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say in like unranked mode, let's say you don't want to play against a real person for whatever reason, or you just want some quick games to hop on without having to wait in queue. You can just play the AI, test out some of your decks.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, in games like League of Legends or stuff like that, you can play bots to practice. And I mean, if you don't and you go into a game, people go, "Oh my God, play the bots first."
Right.
So I mean, yeah, it would
Perfect
be nice.
Example.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have that.
So we'll definitely see, and maybe even down the line we'll see like a puzzle mode as well. There's a lot of card games out there that has puzzle modes like Runeterra and Shadowverse, and maybe Hearthstone. I have to play Hearthstone, but they have like a puzzle mode, like where they give you a bunch of cards, they give you a board, say, "Hey, solve the puzzle."
Okay.
And then
Tavern. It's Hearthstone. Tavern. It's called Tavern in Hearthstone.
Okay.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
Maybe they can give us a little bit of credits or something. Hey, here's 50 credits for this. Here's 100 credits for that.
Yeah, it's a good way to build up decks too, because they give you like free cards and stuff if you complete the quests.
Yeah, that would be cool. I figure if they did it in Hearthstone, we'll probably see it in Snap eventually, considering the developer overlap.
Yep. Well, that depends on like when that was added versus when that guy left, right?
True.
Yeah, we're still in beta. It's really hard to say. So there's a lot of room for potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of the in-concept additions that they're adding, there's a few here that I'm interested in. The guild. Addition would be interesting.
Yeah, like you could be working toward like goals together and then get credits or gold or something like weekly, if it's anything like games like Lost Ark or stuff like that, where you have guild goals, and when you meet them you all get rewards.
Community thing there too, where it's like you could do like stream teams kind of thing,
I'm not sure if y'all have ever played Minion Masters as well. Have y'all played that game?
No, I've never even heard of that.
Okay, yeah, Million Masters is it's like a card game, but it's not. It's an arena battle. You draw cards from your deck and you summon monsters, and they have guilds in that game as well. And actually, they have these things called guild conquests, where they give you cards that you don't have, so you can play. And then your guild can like save up guild currency and buy cards from the card shop. And as long as you're in that guild, you get that card that they decide to buy. Say, hey guys, what card do you want to see? And then they're all battle in their guild. You don't have to battle other guilds. You can just go into matchmaking. Right. And every game you win, you collect guild coins, and then they can go back and buy a card. And everyone, as long as you're in that guild, you have access to that card. But if you leave and you still haven't got the card yourself, then you won't have access to it anymore. So I think that's a really cool concept.
Right. That would be cool. And I figure with this hero event that they've had, where like it's a community-based event, I kind of feel like that was a twofold thing. One, get us all involved, hype up the video and the game of the year and all. But also, I feel like that's their soft way of coding in the community guild thing. Like, okay, let's test it on this macro scale first, and then we'll pare down the code for guilds as they work together, kind of thing.
That also pairs in with sorry, I can't speak. That also ties in pretty well with one of the other in-concept things on the list, which is in-game events. You know, so that kind of ties into that idea as well.
Right.
But there's two things on this list that I think, one is personally interesting to me, and then one that I think the community will be happy to see. The one that is personally interesting to me is the PC controller support.
Right.
Although I can't see using a controller on PC to play this game because it's mostly mouse movement, what I do see this allowing is, people that rely on controller for accessibility reasons, obviously, but also I see it allowing them to port it over to something like the Switch, so you can play on the go, but not necessarily be on a phone, you know?
Right.
Because, like, I have played plenty of card games on the Switch that are mobile-based, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters or Eternal. I'm kind of surprised Hearthstone's not there, given that it's Blizzard, but I would be interested to see it on the Switch because it would just give me another opportunity to keep playing the game in situations that I wouldn't normally be able to play the game.
Right.
So that's interesting to me, again, for accessibility reasons, but also just put the game to more people's hands. And then the other in-concept thing catches my eye is the season cash improvements.
Yes.
Yeah, because they are garbage.
Yeah, I opened 3 yesterday, and I got 150 credits total. Woo! You know how much effort it took to unlock each of those, and I get that from it? Like, come on.
You know how many credits you spent to get there?
Well, because it's the battle pass ones. We're not talking about the collector level boxes. We're talking about the season caches. So that's like after you finish. So this season, after you finish rank 50, you start getting those.
You would have had a weekly. You would have had at least one weekly quest that said, "Upgrade this many cards."
That's true. That's true. There is one of the battle pass quests that'll be like upgrade cards. That is true. So you do end up spending credits into that then.
You generally spend more than the 150 that you would have gotten that.
Yeah, they do give you quite a fair few credits though, leading up to rank 50. I think that kind of pays for that too. But yeah.
Like they definitely do need to improve the bonus. Like.
Yeah, honestly, because if you play that much, you deserve something more than 10 Angela boosters or something.
A card that you probably don't even use. No.
In terms of like crates too, I really wish that after a certain time period that you just like I'm at collection level 3,398, and I literally have so many avatars and titles I can literally scroll down the list and look at tons of them. So I think after a while, I never thought I would be saying this in my life, but instead of avatars and titles, just give me boosters back. Like, at least I can use those to improve my collection level. Because
fair enough.
I have so many. I probably have 30 avatars and like 20 something titles, and I'm at the point now to where I'm not going to get a new card to like every 80 collection levels, I believe.
Right.
I've completed Series 3.
Right.
So
right.
now I'm just spending 1,500 credits and I get 2 avatars. And it's like, just give me boosters.
I'm in a
Yeah.
bit of a situation where my collection level is lower than I'm pretty sure both of you.
Oh yeah, mine's I think
Um,
2100 or something like that, or just about.
Yeah, and see, I'm at like 800, 880, I think. Like, I'm not even to 1,000 yet.
Hey
So,
Smokey, play
like,
this
I
game I'm
don't
addicted
have-
to. Boom! Smokey shoots past you.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about the limited time that I play.
No, I know.
mean,
I'm just being funny.
I play it like.
You've had
sparingly.
your tablet issue too.
Yeah. So it's like I only have one title. I don't
Right.
care about avatars. I don't change it. But like I do want more titles. So it's like I see your point, but it's like maybe once you collect all the ones that they have in the game, it does change up, because it realizes that you don't have them all. It's gonna keep giving you them,
Yeah.
Eventually,
Yeah, I mean, if they
you'll run
make
out of-
the titles a little bit cooler, maybe under your name in game. You
That
can
I
have
would
your
like.
title there, like, where you can constantly see your title versus me having to
Yes.
click on it, or versus me seeing it for literally 1 second in a loading screen.
Right. Right.
So if they made them more accessible, where they I don't know, they do something cooler with it,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I would probably be more down for it. But spending 1,500 credits to get a box and then it's a title is
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Underwhelming. And then for me, I got the 2 that I wanted. Like I wanted from the top rope, and then I got that one. And then
Yeah.
I ended up getting Professor X's best friend or whatever. And it's like that one's funny to me because I'm in a power chair, so Professor X's best friend. But I'm not gonna change that because I think that's funny. So now
That's
it's
the
like
best
titles.
one.
Yeah, so it's the best one for me. So now titles are just like I feel the same way as you do. And like as far as avatars, it's like I have the APOC one on now. I'm not gonna change it probably till I get the Sunspot Winter one, and so I don't really care about
I mean,
avatars.
The
Yeah.
first title I got was That's No Moon, which is funny to me because my deck name that I've been using is Princess to the Moon,
Right?
Silver Surfer to the Moon,
nice.
and then my title is That's No Moon. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah,
but
that's
that was
fun.
funny, like,
Right.
just
Right,
by
perfect.
happenstance, I got that title right away, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think because it was part of the Silver Surfer stuff this time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the other things that's coming up though in concept that I think is going to be cool is the collectible emotes and the card emojis, and I think that kind of like that falls kind of like into what you're saying, where like you're just give me boosters. This other stuff I don't need anymore. It gives you something else you can get that's cool that you can actually use during the game. Like there's such limited ways to communicate.
Right.
Getting a new emoji can make a difference. Because right now I pretty much go hello, fist bump, and hope the other person's polite.
Right. Yeah.
And then like you only have this kind of like winky face thumbs up. So like when someone does it at the end of the game, you're like, are you being a shithead or are you saying good game? I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel the same way.
I'm gonna say this knowing the kind of hellstorm that it can open up, but I would actually love to see like an in-game chat.
I think that'd be really toxic.
Yeah, that's just gonna, I think, be super toxic. I just say that as someone who like intentionally tries to say hello fist bump when I get in because it's like I want to promote positivity and like
guess
sportsmanship.
The one thing to do is allow people to turn it off, right? So like if they don't want it,
I think most
But
people
if
just
they
have it
do-
off, to be honest.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the in-game chat of a Dead by Daylight lobby?
oh, I've seen plenty of toxic shit, dude.
Have you
I play
have you ever
NHL
seen the?
I play EA NHL like on a
Yeah.
daily basis. That shit is like,
Yeah.
yeah, you have no idea.
Oh, I do. Trust me. That's why I think it'd be a bad idea. And if only if the world was a little bit of a perfect place, then yeah.
If
but-
everybody was just chill people like us, it'd be cool.
Well, then
Yeah,
How about this? How
yeah.
about in-game chat in specific situations, like if you're in a tournament,
I could
Okay,
see it
okay.
for intentional matching, tournament, stuff like that. That would be cool to have an interface for that. Just assuming like maybe you're coordinating outside of it and the outside software fails, Discord, whatever, and you're like, oh shit, and you can say something in match, or vice versa. The software in chat fails, and then you can go to an outside source like, oh, by the way, we need to fix something. But yeah, I think it could be good for that.
Or if in the future they implement some type of team mode, which I don't know if they have plans for, but if they were, like inter-team communication, that kind of, they're gonna need something like that if that ever becomes a thing. Now I realize that I'm like kind of reaching pie in the sky by saying like a team mode, but I think that would be cool because like both me and Smokey play this game. We talk daily. Like finding a way to do like a doubles snap or a co-op snap game would be kind of cool. Where kind of like with MLB, where you kind of split each other's collections and you like build a deck.
Okay, that's a good idea right there. Yeah. Like you each alternate picking cards, building a deck, and then you co-op it.
Yeah, kind of like draft mode, which I think we'll see a draft mode.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah,
I would like to see that. I bet you that shows up on In Concept pretty soon because it's in everything from like LOL to Smite to
really everything.
Yeah, any kind of comp game.
It's really cool to have like a co-op version of it because like see that a lot.
Yeah, it would be cool. That could play into what we were talking about earlier with having more locations than just 3 too. Like you could even like if you're having 2-on-2, you could have more locations, and then the two players have to play together to take out more locations because they have more combined cards or something like that. I don't know how they would organize it, but that'd be interesting.
That could play into their battle mode thing too, where it's like they're saying they're going to give you 10 health for a battle mode. So
right.
Like, it wouldn't necessarily rely on the games only being 7 turns or 6 turns.
Right.
You're running a health. So like, if it's co-op, then you don't got to worry about the number of turns, right? Just if you survive, you win. If you don't survive, well, you start over.
Yeah. Yeah, could be interesting. And it could play into like guild quests and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Ocean?
Since we were just talking about locations and emotes, coincidentally, one thing I would like for us to do is that how like you can click on a card and you got those 3 little emotes, right?
Right.
The fiery face, you got the like, oh wow, and then you have like those little stars, right?
Yeah.
It would be cool if we could do that reaction on a location.
That would be cool, yeah.
If we could react to a location, because if a location like if we're really happy about a location, like you get Washington DC on Patriot, I would starry eyes at location every time it popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could add another layer to the mind game too.
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
Yeah. We should be able to emote locations.
Yeah, that would be fun. Cool. That would be fun. Now I am interested. I don't know, like the booster magnets, what that is intended to be. But they have something called booster magnets listed.
I'm wondering if that's intended to be kind of like the collector pull card thing where you can pin cards that you want boosters for.
Oh, okay. So that would be cool because, like, I think there was a day on stream where I literally needed like 2 boosters for Arrow, and I had the 500 credits. I could make her infinite, and I'm just playing games, and it's like, boosters for other cards. I'm like, come on, just 2 for Arrow. Come on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I could see that.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to make it kind of like, because like, if you really look at like how you get boosters at the end of the game, it's supposed to give you boosters for the card that you have the least boosters for, but it doesn't do that.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't.
I think maybe they're gonna fix that, because apparently they tried to fix that, but it's still not fixed.
Okay.
So maybe they're gonna do that.
That's interesting because it tends to work for me. I haven't had an issue where it hasn't done like, because it goes by card rank, not by booster number, right? So if you've got a gray card, it's going to give you boosters for those gray cards before it gives you boosters for your like purple cards.
It's supposed to, but it doesn't. It's wildly inconsistent.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the collector level where you have more cards does that,
Yeah, possibly. Because for me, it's really
I've never not had it work.
Yeah, and like I'm at like 2.5 times your collector level, and he's like at 1,000 over me, so it could just
Yeah.
be we have access to so many cards that somewhere along the line that algorithm kind of like fell off.
Yeah.
Like, do you always have a low card in your deck though, or are you relying on ones that are just kind of in your collection?
Oh yeah, because I've been updating and all that, right? So like, for instance, I just got Arnim Zola. Don't even have one
Yeah.
booster for him yet. Not one.
Yep.
It's supposed to go by your deck, so I was like,
Yeah.
that's strange that it's not working.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's wildly inconsistent.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to do that.
Yeah. So that's one of
So
those
hopefully it fixes
things. Yeah. I hope they do, because I would like to get boosters for the cards that are lower.
Right, because
Yeah,
I'm at the
that's
point now to
understandable.
where my cards are so high ranked, I always need 300 plus credits to even do an upgrade.
Yep.
So I'm always making decks where I have like, okay, I'll just make a zoo deck, which is low rank stuff. I may have one card in there and it's already like, you know, shiny logo rank or whatever, or animated frame rank, and I would still get boosters for that card.
Yep.
And I'm like, what's going on?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
it's
really not supposed to work that way. Yeah.
it's not consistent. So hopefully they fix it.
Yeah, that would be good. And then in terms of like what you were saying about having so many titles and avatars and all, Ocean, they are gonna make it so that you can do them by deck. So they do seem to be like addressing what you're talking about. Like they don't have enough prominence or use, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
that could be cool because like when I play my like Wakanda Forever deck, I can set my icon to Black Panther, you know, put a different title, and then when I
Right.
play like Silver Surfer deck, you know, have a Silver Surfer icon and you know whatever. I mean, granted, then you're kind of if you do it exactly matching your deck, you're telegraphing what you're doing. But I mean, either way, you could spice it up a bit and
It's
not
more
have
role
to.
playing.
Yeah, and you don't have to do anything more than just swap what deck you're playing. You don't have to go into your settings and do your whole thing. So I think that would be cool if they can
Yeah,
put that in.
yeah. Anything better than what they have.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that's pretty much the development roadmap. So then I think we'll talk. We'll do the spinny for the next segment, and then we'll talk about turn 6 on the strategy for success.
Yes.
All right, so in this one, this week we're going to talk about the importance of turn 6. And, whoa, I just scrolled through everything way too fast. Anywho, so on turn 6, that's like where you're going to want to think and take your time. Especially because if you hurry after turn 5, just because like, oh, I know what my play is, click. You could be walking into like a snap you didn't want to walk into. You could be, telling them too that, haha, I'm confident, I know what I'm doing, I got the nuts, and then instead of getting the full cube value for them playing through the turn, they just back out. So I think turn 6 is really like a battle of patience. Sometimes that battle is just versus yourself, though.
Also, like, depending on the snap count, like, that's a really good time to double check your math. Like,
Mhm.
if you mess up your math and they've snapped already, and you're at like +2, going to be moving to 4, right?
Yeah.
You might want to make your decision as to whether or not you're sticking through. So you better double check your math at that point.
Right, and it's important to remember too that say you're confident snap and click on turn 6. If they snap, you can't get out of it. You're stuck. That's it for you. Like, unless you manage to, like, in that split second before the cards lay down, click retreat, you're done.
And I don't think the game would let you at that point. Like,
No, it has to
lock
have
you.
a delay from the player hitting their button for you to hit retreat. And then if you've snapped, say, on that, and you snap early, but they don't snap back, but you walk right into something, like, say on a turn 5, you can't retreat once you've done that snap. So it's really important to make sure you take your time, even in like a turn 5, before like that's also why, like we've talked before about timing your aggression so that you're snapping at the optimum point when you look weakest but know you're strongest, and they'll fall for it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Yeah.
for me, it seems like a lot of the decks you're gonna want to swing. It depends on when you curve out the heaviest. You
Right.
know, if you're gonna, if you're playing Galactus and you got Wave coming down on turn 3, you want to snap before turn 3's over.
Right.
If you're playing a Wong deck, before they see that Wong out, and if you can predict, kind of where they're gonna play, snap before your Wong comes out.
Yep.
And then that way, like, snap, man, I walk right into that, like, and then if they don't have an out in their hand or a way to salvage the situation after they went to next turn, they're probably gonna retreat, and you got two free cubes.
Yep.
Also, too, I don't recommend it. It depends on the deck you're playing. But you can probably snap turn 1, turn 2. If you start the game, let's say you're playing Mr. Negative and you got the Psylocke Mr. Negative combo on turn 1, you probably want to snap
Right.
on that. And that way, because a lot of times, for me, if someone is going to Psylocke on turn 2 and they snap, it's heavily telegraphed that they're going to play Mr. Negative, so I'm going to leave. They only got 1 cube, instead of 2. So you kind of have to know your deck and kind of know when you curve out on your deck and snap before you do that big curve out.
Yep.
That's really effective on how you climb.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I know with Infinite decks last season, especially, if like say you drew Jess Jones, Storm, and Infinite, you're like snap,
Right,
like 90% of the
game's
time.
over.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the things that can get you into trouble. So like where you're saying, when you got the Wong snap before they see it, etc., you can get into trouble depending on what you're running, because say you're running like a Wakanda Forever and you're building up a big Black Panther and Taskmaster copying him or Zola copying him or whatnot. If dude's got a Shang-Chi and knows what he's doing with it, you could be walking right into like 8 cube losses because you snapped early, because you had the cards, So
Right.
you do have to be aware of what you're susceptible to and at what turn you're susceptible to it usually. When calculating the snap early too, I think, because that goes into that like over aggression, I think, that we talked about in a couple weeks ago.
And here's the high level kind of counterintuitive to that. If like let's say you snap before you like your bit power curve. Let's use the Wong example, right? Let's say
Right.
you have a White Tiger route that you can go, a White Tiger Odin route,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a you have a Black Panther Arizona route you can go to.
Right.
You have 2 different lines of play. You're not just limited to one play, right?
Right.
So I think that if you have more options, or you kind of do your math in your head, okay, I got 4 cards in my leg. If I top deck this, I have, you kind of have to know your deck,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's so more so that when you practice with your deck, you get familiar with your deck, because learning decks in this game isn't quite as straightforward as it seems to be. Marvel Snap is a pretty straightforward game in terms of its mechanics, but you really have to know the possibilities of your deck the possibilities of your opponent.
Yeah.
You have to know like the threshold of your power swings.
Yeah.
And the possibilities of the outcome of your play. So I think that if you snap in this way, where you have two different lines of play, you have a White Tiger Odin and you have a Black Panther Zolan route, to where if things do go south, you can kind of spread your power out accordingly.
Yeah.
I think that's very important skill to have.
Oh, yeah.
With your deck. And that's also why I encourage people to build your own decks as well, because you'll know when you're building your own deck, you're mapping out the possibilities, you're mapping out your plays and your curves, and you're more familiar with that
100%.
versus just Googling Marvel Snap best deck and you copy and paste it and you have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so important to get high snap games and actually really climb and ranked. You're gonna need to know the ins and outs of the deck you're playing.
Yeah, 100%. And I think when you're talking about giving yourself 2 ways to get it done, or multiple ways to get it done, so going back to like the Infinite deck, when I was running that last season, I put in armor and Atuma as well because I can storm armor Atuma or I can storm Jess Jones. It gives me 2 ways to go before I get to the turn 6. And then I always had like some backup for 5-6 that I could do, like a Vision Hulk or something like that. And then like where you're talking with like Black Panther and Wong and maybe Shuri, backing that up with like Odin and White Tiger, that basically not only gives you like insulation against, say, like a Shang-Chi coming at you in turn 6 if you think that's what they're running, but it also does give you more outs. So more outs, like poker, right? More outs means more chances. So we've talked about like never be drawing 2 cards, never be drawing the 1 card you need at the 1 turn you need it, stuff like that. If you have nothing but outs in your deck, then it really doesn't matter as much what you have to draw and when, so long as like you've drawn the key card that makes the rest of them work. Like in that case, it'd be Wong.
I think that's what makes the Silver Surfer deck so, versatile. Is that like, yeah, you rely a lot on Silver Surfer, but you've got other ways of getting that card out there besides specifically drawing it. You've got your Lockjaw, which will help pull it out. But you've also got other plays because you've got Wolfsbane and Odin you can lay that will give you decent power. You've got your Ironheart, Lockjaw. You've got
Maximus,
which would give you a high power for low cost.
And that's just been plenty of games where
Silver Surfer can be buffed, right?
Yeah, and that's just been plenty of games where I've just lost to just a Killmonger in the Silver Surfer deck. They didn't need to buff anything. I just a Killmonger.
Yeah, that's why.
You kind of have to
Killmonger alone is why I can't run my favorite deck, being my 1 cost.
Yeah, you kind of have to just know like what you're open to, like what's a really gunshot wound to the heart for your deck, and like for instance, like if I have a Sunspot, if I'm playing a Sunspot deck, I draw a Sunspot, I'm not gonna snap until I know that either I have armor or until I know for sure that they're not playing a Death+Wave deck or something like that. Like if they're playing Yondu turn 1, okay, this is probably a Death deck. It'll be pretty telegraphed in that sense. If they have an Iceman, they don't normally run Iceman in Death decks. So if they run Iceman, you're pretty safe. If they run an Ant-Man, you're pretty safe. If they also run another Sunspot, you're gonna be safe. So you just have to, and I think that the best way in knowing this, not only do you have to know your deck, but you need to be familiar with what's going around in the pool. So the best way to learn how to fight other decks is to also play those decks. Like if you're struggling against Leech Leader, I actually encourage you to play Leech Leader, so you can understand, you can recognize the plays from your point of view, looking at your opponent's board. Say, okay, they're probably gonna leech me here, they're probably gonna leader me here, and the best way for you to be familiar with that is to actually play those decks, like immerse yourself in those decks that you're struggling against, and it really works.
It does. I played a leader leech deck for a bit. That's how I figured out, hey, if I just play Taskmaster, there's nothing they can do, and I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't tried that.
Right.
I'm gonna give us a little bit of a shameless plug here for our spreadsheet, because we do have a list of like these combo cards.
Yeah, we do.
In the spreadsheet, that although I do agree playing it is the best way to learn it, having this list of cards that you can look at will give you a heads up of, okay, these cards do combo well together.
Yeah.
Let's keep an eye for these specific patterns.
And lots of people.
So if you don't have the cards yourself to play, right? Like say you're just starting, you don't have all the cards yet.
Yeah, so you're not going to know what to do. With certain ones, or that they even exist. Yeah.
So it's like having these resources. Although I do 100% agree with Red that playing it is the best way to learn it, but until you get that card, you can't play it.
Right.
So
looking
at outside resources like our spreadsheet or Snap.io, can help learn. You can learn the strategies and metas, and then figure out with the cards you do have how to beat those cards. Or how to, at the very least, minimize the damage.
Yep, or MarvelSnapZone.com. They have the pool tracker for cards. So if you just want to straight up be able to see every single card in a pool, know what they all do, that's probably the easiest way to go get that done.
Right.
But yeah, the spreadsheet's good because we update it with community feedback. We try to put as much stuff, and if you're using it to track your games and you already have it open, it's not something that's like, oh man, I gotta go click this thing, or what was it at like 10 minutes in this one person's video, or what was it, that Dexerto article or Kotaku article? I can't remember even who wrote it. You know what I mean? Instead, you'll already be tracking, if you're using this to track your play and your cubes and your win-loss by deck and stuff like that. So you can literally just click to the other sheet, and we update the sheet. We update the functionality monthly, and we update that specific sheet every Friday after the podcast goes up with everything we've collected during the week. So feedback helps, and then you can just copy pasta that sheet. It won't affect the coding on any of the other sheets in the book. But that's pretty much, I think, the turn 6 like snap strategy. So I think we'll move to Invoke's accessible vacation locations, and we'll talk about the new location and then the other event location that just happened.
This week on Behind the Mask, a peeping Tom in Toronto turns out to be Uwadu the Watcher. You say you thought you first saw him in, what was it,
30-something. Late 30-something.
It's okay. This is a safe space.
I guess he thought he could catch me playing with my hilt spirit.
And how did this make you feel?
Well, the pain was excruciating. I thought maybe he was the cause, like he was
a sadist?
Yeah.
You won't believe the trail of open windows left behind in his wake.
Some years later, you'd catch him at it again. This time, it was...
in the Arctic. Yeah, it was in the Arctic.
And what brought you all the way there?
Well, Legends of a Cure, obviously.
And that's when you found her?
Well, obviously the legends were true.
And she...
Oh, she made me hard and I grew again.
And he just watched. Just watched.
The whole time.
Find out what finally drove our hero to the brink.
Of course, that wasn't the worst of it, was it?
No. I got...
It's okay. Take your time. Can we get you anything? Water, maybe.
I got catfished, okay? I got catfished. There. That's what they all want to hear, isn't it?
Who did she turn out to really be?
Some horny trickster. Can we just move on?
Watch our hero struggle to climb back from rock bottom.
That's when things sort of spun off the rails, wasn't it?
What would you have done?
Well, that's tough. I guess I'd try to move on best I could, but...
But we thought we could just bounce back if we could only...
Get another score?
You make it sound like we've got an addiction or something.
And you're saying you don't?
You know what? This. I'm going back to Saskatoon.
What do we have this week, Jer?
So the new location this week is Vormir.
Yep, home of the Soulstone.
Which destroys the first card you play here, which for lore reasons makes perfect sense. Soulstone, you gotta kill somebody.
I always play Gamora there, personally.
Oh, that's ow, dude. Ooh. Black Widow, anyone? I personally, the lore is great, but I avoid this location. I don't like my cards getting destroyed unless I'm running a destroy deck, because then I've got reasons, cards too that I actually do need to destroy. Um, which kind of lends into like strategies and synergies for this location being like Nova, Bucky Barnes.
I had
even
fun with
Wolverine,
Hood.
If you need to lay a card, you could lay Wolverine. That way you don't lose him because he respawns in another location.
Yep. Bucky comes back as Winter Soldier. Nova just buffs everything.
Nova buffs all your other cards.
Mr. Sinister keeps one of himself because he clones himself.
Mysterio because he lays the illusions, right?
Yep. You could put an illusion there and intentionally kill it.
Yep. I personally love throwing Electro in there first.
Okay.
You get the plus wins every turn, but you don't
get
ongoing effect. So
yeah. Okay.
I've been enjoying all of my rep decks because you just throw Electro in there, or if you don't have Electro, you can just throw Psylocke in there. Same.
Yep, I've been throwing Psylocke on there because I don't have Electro. That's exactly her or Hood. Yep.
If I see that location, I tend to storm it.
Yep, that's an option too. You can change the location. Rhino, Scarlet Witch, Storm, etc.
If it's a bad impact for your deck,
yeah.
Quake it is pretty saucy.
Yeah, I seen somebody Quake that, and I was like, well, I don't have Hood yet.
Hood would be another good one because you get that 1/6 demon, right?
Yeah, and you don't have to deal with the -2.
-2 powers.
Yeah, it's real nice. And you could always play Armor just as your first card there, and then it doesn't even matter.
Right.
You could play Jubilee, and she's only 1 power, so she'll draw something else there.
Or Brood.
Yeah, Brood. Yep, you could play Brood. Yeah, those would be good cards, definitely.
If you needed to do a split push, you could play a Doctor Doom there, because he'd get his bots, but he'd be destroyed, right? So
yeah.
You'd still end up with the 5 power bots.
Yeah, you can just play him in another lane.
Yeah, you can just play him in the other lane.
His bots will stay.
Yeah, because they're not played cards, because it's only the first card you play. So you can move cards, you can have warp cards, whatever, but you just can't play them there first.
Play them there.
Because I've had like for instance, you could play a card there before it flips, and that doesn't hurt it either. So
right.
Yeah.
And I think the lowest card you can play there is like a 1 or 2 drop. If it's the last location, you can already drop a 1 or 2 in there, and then they would stick. And of course, this location favors death decks.
Yes.
If you have death deck, if you have wave, any type of
kind of like
destroy deck.
A couple weeks ago, we had the Termis, right, which severely gave the advantage to death decks because you could get a 12 power cost card for 0 cost, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So Squirrel Girl, great into it.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Brood, Bucky Barnes. Yep. I think if you Bucky Barnes and Vormir, you're probably gonna win that lane.
Oh yeah, because you just drop a nice card right away.
Right. If not, you're gonna be ahead at least for the next 3 turns in power there. So you're gonna pretty much have initiative every time.
Gives you options.
Really good location.
Yeah.
Really good location for death decks, especially Death Null, which I think is the best version.
Okay. Yeah. Null is an interesting card that came out recently too. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Very, very good. The top end's got even better for Death+Wave. Very, very interesting location. I welcome it.
Yeah, it is a very interesting location, although it doesn't fit the style that I tend to play, so I do tend to avoid it unless I draw Storm.
I had fun with it, but that's because I had Hood in my deck.
And then the other location that we discussed this week is Nidavellir, which gives your cards +5 power. I love this location. Again, I tend to run low-cost decks, which tend to have weaker power cards. But can make for a nice swing when you get a location like this, because those low-cost cards all of a sudden have big power, especially with like a Maximus.
Yeah.
And then you combo that with like a Silver Surfer and an Ironheart, and it's like you're getting all the buffs.
Yeah. This is another one of those where I liked Mr. Sinister in my Patriot deck.
Yep.
because you get one card that's buffable, two cards that have +5 power. So you have 2 7s there, and one can be 12, 15 by the end.
Patriot. Yep.
Yeah, one thing you always have to be aware of too with Nidavellir. I mean, the quote of it is quality over quantity, right? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
quantity over quality.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's meant for you to dump a bunch of stuff in there.
Yep.
And a lot of times, if someone's playing like a slower deck, like a ramp deck, for me, I love ramp decks. I don't play a lot of cards, so Nidavellir is pretty much like an auto lose. It'd be real beneficial if you're playing more of a swarm or wide deck that doesn't really go tall, but they go wide.
Yep.
But one thing you always have to be aware of when you're playing a card in Nidavellir, cards that normally wouldn't be able to be Shang-Chi can be Shang-Chi.
Yep.
So you're going to want to put, 1, 2, or 3 power units in there mostly, so that way they're always safe from a Shang-Chi play.
Yeah.
Because it's been plenty of times where I may put a 4 power unit, or I may put a Captain America squad, all in Nidavellir, and then we all get Shang-Chi because we're all over 9 power.
Yep.
So you kind of have to be careful there. Go wide, but don't go too tall. If you feel as though your opponent's running Shang-Chi. And of course, if you're playing a deck that just goes tall, not wide, you're probably going to lose the Nidavellir location unless you can storm it or Scarlet Witch it or something like that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I had
I tend to play a lot of cards, so it's like I'm generally spread out pretty well.
I was playing a ramp deck during this, and I think so. When I had like Hood, I'd play him there because it takes up space. And now he's a 3. When I had Psylocke, I'd play her there, and then I think if I didn't have like those, I could put like Wong and Shuri there, and then I could put like any card, like the card that comes after doesn't have to have like the reveal effect. It's really just so Shuri doubles up, right? I could play them somewhere else. So Wong, 3, so he's an 8. Shuri 2, so she's a 7. Like they stay under that threshold we're talking about, and so like it allows me to like be prepared to play there if I have to in my ramp deck, but it's not essential, and I'm really going for the other 2 spots.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives me a little bit of versatility just because like I do have some small cards in the ramp deck that build up to what happens in the last 3 turns. But if I don't draw those, then Nidavellir just crushes me.
Yep. Yeah, that's very true. And I kind of treat Nidavellir as it's kind of like Mojo World, but not really. You want to have some good 4 cards there. You really want to think about what you're playing in those locations, because people tend to full stack Nidavellir. So like other cards like Debris can be good, taking up spots in it, while you put your more powerful cards, maybe you're running like Debris or Patriot or Debris and Kazar, where you can get more of an upside from the rocks.
Brood.
Because if you Brood, because if you try and play like Goblin into Nidavellir, it takes up space, but it's not as powerful as it should be. So you're gonna want to play good 1, 2, 3 power units in there that hopefully that you can kind of still buff. Because if you play a lot of 1-drops, put armor in Nidavellir, because any Killmonger anywhere else in the field can just practically auto lose you Nidavellir.
Right.
And of course, Iron Man is just the best possible outcome if you're an Iron Man. Nidavellir gives them 5 power, and so you have ridiculous power, but you're all under the Shang-Chi threshold.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect card for Nidavellir. Probably the best card into Nidavellir. Which is kind of funny because Stark Tower is Iron Man's location, but he goes way better to Nidavellir, which is Forge's location.
Yeah,
so.
That is interesting. I think the one card that's like, I mean, now it's still susceptible to Shang-Chi here, but the one card that's like an effective solo card here is Venom, purely because he'll eat the buff for all the other cards. And so if you play him at the right time, and maybe with like an armor, like an armor after him, so he doesn't eat it, you could really get something going there, because you could get like more of those +5 buffs than the other guy could.
Yep, huge Taskmasters.
Yep.
As well. Come out from that. Also, if you got Null, makes Null unstoppable. Because you're gonna have a huge Venom, you're gonna have a huge Taskmaster, you're gonna have a huge Null.
Yeah.
Very good.
You could theoretically lay leader there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could. And if you reveal second, your leader will copy the venom as at the end of
Yep.
their turn.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that would be
that's my-
really
that's my-
nice.
Yeah.
Yep, you could do that. Yep.
yeah. So you definitely don't want to venom last turn. You want to venom on 4 or 5 so you can Taskmaster after him.
Yep.
Because if you save Taskmaster for turn 6, of course it screws leader.
Exactly. Yep.
You have to play around with it, but yeah.
You definitely want to play your venom early so that you have other outs, because then you could armor him like on turn 5 too, so he can't be
Yeah.
destroyed, right?
Yeah.
Like you would have to play him fairly early, but yeah.
But if you run decks with like Psylocke or something in it, you could make that happen a lot easier too.
Yep. Venom is a good tech for that. He also works really good in Throne Room because he's the powerful Throne Room too.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. So I think that covers the locations for this week. Next, we're gonna go over some of the combos we were talking about in the Super Squad section. So we'll be right back with that. First one we're going to talk about is Ultron Patriot for combos. And
Yep.
this,
I haven't run this one a lot.
so for this Patriot deck, or most Patriot decks, I expect that if they draw the Ultron, especially if they've drawn like a Mystique or if they played a Blue Marvel or anything like that leading in after the Patriot, I expect to see Ultron basically in a Patriot deck, because all those drones, yeah, they're only worth 1, but they're gonna get like buffed like super hard. So one of the other things you want to look out for is like, instead of this Avengers level threat, would be like the Defenders level threat, and that'd be Debris Patriot. I think when you see Debris and Patriot early, then like like if they draw the Ultron, you're gonna have a lot of stuff get buffed. And Debris Patriot, even if they don't draw the Ultron, is gonna be a solid mid-turn combo. It's gonna fill up the board for you in a meaningful way, and it's gonna fill up the board for them uselessly. So if you play Debris away from where their fullest spots are, she'll put rocks in those spots. And so like if someone's got 3 cards early and you know they're trying to put that 4th card there to really make that whole spot like work, you just drop Debris, not at that spot for you, and it fills it up with a rock, and then they're just screwed. So she can be really nice for that, for some denial a little bit.
Yeah, Patriot's real dangerous, man.
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't know what their top end is. Some Patriots run Ultron, some run Ultron in Onslaught, some run just Onslaught, some run just Ultron, some run they go for the Patriot Mystique 6-turn combo.
Yeah, I got a Patriot Mystique thing going.
Yeah, so Patriot's really unpredictable a lot of times. So I would think that for me, in my experience, the most telegraphed I've seen Patriot is that if they've just hardly played any cards, hardly any, and they play Patriot early and Mystique early, maybe Marvel early, if they play those really early and with very little cards on the screen, they're probably going to Ultron.
Yeah.
If they're playing out Mr. Sinister and Brood, and they're more or less filling up the cards with one card, like multiple bodies, like Mr. Sinister, Brood, Squirrel Girl, they're probably not going to Ultron, and they're more or less going for either a Onslaught combo or a Mystique Patriot combo at the end. But if they're playing very few cards, let's say they're playing Patriot out there with hardly if only like 2 of the bodies on the board, they're probably gonna Ultron you.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah.
But really good counters for that, of course, will be Goose. If you run Goose to Patriot lane.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times Patriot has small power. Patriot Mystique, they have little power. So they tend to throw Ultron in their lanes to just give that location a little bit more power.
Yeah.
With why it busts the other 2. And if they win the Patriot one, they win. If they win the Patriot location, they win it. If they don't, but a lot of times they're going for the other locations.
Right.
They're empty. So if you can Goose in that location or Cosmo, you'll be in pretty good shape, because it's going to back them into a corner to have Onslaught if you have the Cosmo. or it's gonna back them to a corner to spread out their ongoings. So you
Right.
can't onslaught. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a good counter to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Patriot's really dangerous though. I love him. He's a really good deck in this format too, because leader does he counters leader.
Yep.
It counters arrow plays on 5
Yep.
because your ongoing doesn't matter really where you place your card unless
Right.
you're trying to go for an onslaught setup. But yeah, it's a really good powerful deck. I've been climbing with it.
Yeah, I've been playing it a little bit since Wakanda Forever's been running up against a lot of Shang-Chi counters that I can't really do anything but identify and retreat over. So,
The only time I've run up against Patriot was a guy that didn't know how to run him, so I didn't run into too many issues taking him down. But yeah, he can be very dangerous for sure. I've seen plenty of people climb pretty high up in rank that run the Patriot.
Yeah, the deck is pretty consistent. You know, let's say there's some games where you don't see your Patriot, so you're gonna be relying on your Blue Marvel or your Onslaught if you're running those. You're gonna be relying on your Blue Marvel Mystique combo, or you're gonna be, you know, just hopefully you're running, you know, Thing or Abomination where you have big units, or maybe even a Hulk or a Doctor Doom.
right.
But there's some cases where you don't see your Patriot, so you're gonna need to rely on your bigger power units, you know.
Yep.
So, but it's wildly consistent though. It's pretty consistent. Most games you will have your Patriot.
Yeah. Now, we've talked before in Defenders combos about Jess Jones and the Storm. In this one, because Power Cosmic, we see a lot of that Silver Surfer deck. Synergistically, if you want to get a similar combo, you found like that was a good mid play for you to have in your pocket. Storm Juggernaut will do the trick because
Yeah, I use this one a lot.
yeah, because you can Storm just the same, you can Juggernaut the next turn, and no, you didn't do anything super powerful, but odds are if you stormed the place you needed to, the way you needed to, they weren't ahead of you there to start. You storm it, Juggernaut comes in next, knocks their card away because they're going to play there like, oh gosh, I got to get some power there, I can probably take it, or whatever they do. And Juggernaut comes in and says, no, my lane. You've got a solid 5 to start. You get that Silver Surfer. Well, now you're talking 6 and 5. You got 11. That's a little bit bigger, harder to overcome, harder to even move a card to. So
Right.
you get a little bit better counter.
Right.
That works with Silver Surfer.
Right.
And then the last thing we're talking about, Super Squads, is the Hazmat Debris Wong. And this one's nasty because you can do this in a Patriot deck too. You could do it a number of ways. But what's gross about this, and what I've seen is just, oh my god. I saw somebody lose a game with like negative like 30 plus on every spot. It was like 40 even, I think. And Hazmat comes in there, you know, puts the minus to the cards. Wong makes it happen multiple times. And then Debris, she throws those rocks out there that are zeros and gives you more minuses straight up. So like it can be pretty nasty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have that deck. I run it with Luke Cage.
Yeah.
You know, where I can still kind of go wide.
Mhm.
You know, and it's really fun. It's really fun when it pops off. There's some games where, you know, of course, you don't see Hazmat, so you may have like a Doctor Doom top end or something like that.
Yeah.
Long, but
Yeah.
or you know, but yeah, it's a pretty good deck. It punishes deck that go wide, that goes wide. So
Yeah, instead of going tall. Exactly.
right.
Exactly. So like it would be a good counter to like a Silver Surfer situation with like Brood in it and stuff like that, or like
Yep.
a bunch of low cost decks.
Any Sarah deck essentially.
Yep,
Yep.
definitely good against the Sarah deck because they're throwing a bunch of mid to low cost cards in with that energy reduction, and if they manage to get her out earlier than 5 with like a Psylocke or something, then you're in deep shit. So
Oh, yeah.
that would help a lot. That would definitely counter that.
Yep, it's also goes good into Destroyer as well, because a lot of times they have that Professor X, like, you know, that stack of full lane with armor.
Yeah.
Then they got 4 bodies in the armor lane to protect them from Destroyer, or they make
Right.
Professor X one of your dudes. Let's say they're up by 1 or 2, or they like,
Yep.
or you tie. The Hazmat will help you win the Professor X lane
Yep.
as well.
Definitely. So I think next we'll go to things that counter leader, and the first thing we have is Patriot. We've talked about already, because small cards that you buff aren't going to get copied for big. We've already talked about Taskmaster, because if you play Taskmaster against a leader, you get the big buff, they get a 4. But what we haven't talked about is Cerebro versus leader, and this is one that Red Ocean here was actually teaching me on stream with like a 2 power deck that we called Ocean's 12 on stream, and that was an interesting deck. I didn't make it work in the 2 games I tried, but I think I was tired at the time too. But with this one, leader's only going to be copying like a 2 power card, so jokes on them.
Right, and a lot of times your turn 6 is going to be Cerebro Mystique, and of course...
that's a big fat 0.
Yeah, they're not going to get any value out of it. I mean, their biggest power card will get +2, but their Mystique won't even copy anything.
Yeah.
So their Mystique will be useless. And also, too, another thing about leader, of course, ongoing decks really kind of shit on leader. You know, if you're a destroyer or any kind of ongoing deck, it's a direct counter leader. But also, too, let's say if you're running against, let's say you're running a deck that goes bad to leader, like a Death+Wave deck, or just a tall stack deck, like maybe you're playing like a Devil Dino deck or something like that, and leader just pay crap on you if their hand size is just as big as yours. A good thing to play around is that you want to make sure that you're laying down your cards in the correct order, because leader copies your cards in the order you play them as well. And they're also going to reveal in the same order that you play them. So let's say, and I learned this by playing Galactus, so I have a Galactus deck as well. So when you have one lane and someone leaders me, I've always learned to not drop my Death first, because if let's say you got 3 cards in, you got 2 cards in location, they leader, so their leader only copies 1 card, and you play your Death first, he's going to copy your Death. So always play your weaker cards first, then play your higher cards last. Right. That way, leader, when he runs out of space, he only copies your weaker cards, and he doesn't get your higher power cards. So that's one way to play around leader. That's true. That's true. If you're not sure if they have it or not, or if you're confident that they're going to play them, pay attention to your order. Get into the habit of paying attention to your order.
Yep.
While you're doing your math on your turn 6, and it kind of goes back to your turn 6 segment that we covered earlier. Take your time. Make sure your order is correct. Because there's been plenty of times where I've called the correct play. I did the correct play, but the order was wrong. It's the same math. I got to the same numbers, but the order was wrong. So pay attention to that. Very big skill you need to have.
A lot of your plays in this game depend on order too, unless you're like building a deck that, you know, is agnostic towards order. But oftentimes, like, your effect stacking is going to rely on orders, the order you play a card. So, like, you know, you might want to play for the Silver Surfer deck. If you're playing both Ironheart and Silver Surfer on the same turn, you might want to play your Ironheart first, then your Silver Surfer, right?
Right.
As opposed to, I mean, you could do it the other way, but it's a bigger buff, a better buff if you play Ironheart first, right? Because then your Ironheart becomes a 3 as opposed to, you know, a nothing.
Yeah.
And that's a small play, but like that's the first one that popped into my head. There's other ones too. Like pretty much any deck's got like an order in which you're gonna want to play your combos to maximize the effectiveness of your combo.
Yeah, if you're playing Wakanda Forever, you want to play Wong before Shuri, which means you got to play Psylocke before Wong.
Yeah, and here's one thing about leader decks too. Wonder if I could show you this or not. But if you look at the typical leader deck,
I could probably put
you know, it's just all stats. You know what I mean? If you look at the leader, arrow, leech deck, all that stuff, it's just all stats. What they're trying to do is they're trying to win early. They're trying to win turns 1, 2, and 3, and 4, right? They're trying to win 2 locations by turn 4. Turn 5, they're going to arrow you into a lane that they just don't care about. And then on turn 6, they're going to just leader you. They're gonna just leader, and then they're gonna automatically win those 2 locations. So what you want to do is versus leader. It's a good indication if they're playing very low cost high power cards like Blizzard or Thor or White Queen. It's not so much of the effects of these cards. They just want the power. It's a numbers game. So if they're winning those 2 locations by turn 4, they can arrow you into a location where they don't care about, and then just leader in the other lane, and then it's practically saying I win the game. So you can still overcome these obstacles if you can read the arrow play, or just simply maintain a good power struggle up to turn 4. You need to maintain a good power struggle up until then. If you're playing like something like a ramp deck where you're not really going to be winning the game until like the last turn.
This one doesn't have leader in it, but this is the kind of deck you'd put a leader in.
You're going to need to
it's the closest thing I
retreat
have
from that game, or try to flood the board as fast as you can, unoptimally, and then just kind of spreads your power out in a certain order on turn 6. But yeah, aside from the ongoing decks, if you're playing a deck that's bad into leader, make sure that you just try to maintain initiative, get those stats out early, and maintain your curve until that turn 6 where their leader won't be as valuable to them.
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So I think you sent me a deck you called Ramp Zola, right?
Yes, sir. It's the sauce, man.
All right, I just brought that one up. You want to talk about that? That's
Yeah,
going
so
to be our
I've
deck
actually-
for the week.
Yes, sir. So I've actually been having a lot of fun with this deck, and it's a typical ramp deck. You know, you see we're running Sunspot with Psylocke and Electro. We also have a really big top end, as you see. We have a lot of big numbers. We got the Infinite, got She-Hulk, we got Odin. Of course, we have Leader as well in case we don't really see our combo pieces. But this deck is phenomenal, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. It goes good into a lot of locations as well. So you want to see your Sunspot and an armor early, so that way you can go ahead and get those out on the board. You can protect your Sunspot, buff him up really big. He always gets an additional one power return with your Electro. So your Sunspot is a lot of times going to be bigger than your opponent's. So if they drop Sunspot, you drop Sunspot, you can kind of mirror their Sunspot as well, and yours is always going to be bigger than theirs. And kind of like for your top end, you're going to want to Crossbones early if you can as well. Get that 8 power in your Sunspot lane into your armor lane, get them really big. And for your top end, you have different routes. If you've played Electro, you can Black Panther on turn 4, and then you can Arm Zola on turn 5.
Yeah.
And then for your turn 6, you can Odin your Arm Zola to then send Odin to your Black Panther again to make him huge 32s with your Sunspot lanes. And also, too, if you have Psylocke, you can just Black Panther early. You can pass on turn 5. This way, your She-Hulk costs 1. And then you can She-Hulk as well as a Crossbones in one turn. And then for your turn 6, you can Leader. Or you can Zola your She-Hulk. It's so many different possibilities. And one of my other favorite combos I've done with this deck too is I play Electro on 3, pass turn 4, Sunspot absorbs 4 power, turn 5 drop Infinite because you had 6 power on turn 5. Then you can Arm Zola your Infinite in 2 different lanes for turn 6. So there's just so many different lanes to play with this deck, and I've been climbing a lot. I've unintentionally climbed with this deck. I went from practically 60. I went from rank 59 up to like 72. Not even snapping. I'm just chilling, vibing, just playing the deck, having fun. And I'm like, whoa! I've climbed like 7 ranks with this deck.
That's pretty cool.
So when I started playing more serious, like snapping, when I have a correct combo, I've been skyrocketing rank. It's a really fun deck. So if you don't have She-Hulk, don't worry. You can swap her out for a Red Skull. I would say that if you're going to want Black Panther Zola, you don't even necessarily need Leader. Leader's kind of a crutch card in case things really go south. But for the base necessarily cards, you're going to want Sunspot Armor. You're going to want Electro. You're going to want... you don't have to have Crossbones. You can swap Crossbones out for like a White Queen. The point is, have a good low power curve with a little bit of ramp in there, and then play your top end as you need it. Play reactively for your top end. You want to build your last two to three turns with this deck.
Right.
So just kind of just scope out the playing field, scope out what your opponent's doing, and then decide, do I go the Armzola Black Panther route? Do I go the Infinite She-Hulk route? Or do I go the Odin, leader route? You build your own turn 5 and turn 6. Really fun deck. Not every game is the same with this deck. So try it out. If you have the cards, I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy it. If not, if you don't have all the pieces, just swap out, some of these other power units like She-Hulk for a Red Skull or for a Giganto, something like that. Also, feel free to swap out Crossbones for a Jubilee as well. It works just as well.
That's cool. Yeah, those are good swap suggestions, because I know sometimes, especially like with cards like She-Hulk, and even like Arnim Zola, a lot of people are still like trying to grab those, especially She-Hulk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's good to have some swaps. So I guess do you have anything you'd want to talk about, or anything like promote yourself or anything like that while we still got you here?
Yeah, sure. So so for me, I've been playing card games for most of my life. A lot. I've played lots of Yu-Gi-Oh, lots of Shadowverse, lots of Runeterra, a lot of Pokemon. So I play a lot of card games, and I think that Marvel Snap is it's a card game that's done. It's obviously paid attention to what other card games do, and it's done. When those card games come up short, it's done it better. So I think Marvel Snap is a really exciting time for the game. It's a really cool game. It does a lot of things well. I think it's on the right track. Of course, there's a lot of things that we think things could be done better, like the way that they have collector tokens, or the way that the current system is with the collection level.
Right.
Of course, we all have our gripes there, but I think overall, this is the best card game on the market.
Yeah.
And this is only the beginning. And you can feel free. This is practically like my main game that I'm playing in streaming.
Mine too.
So feel free to check me out on Twitch or ARedOceanTTV. My schedule is a little wonky because I work a lot during the day, but I mostly stream during the night. So feel free to stop by, chat, give me a follow or whatever if you're feeling generous, and come and chill and vibe as we climb the ranks around Red Zola. But overall, I think this is a very exciting time with the game, and I think this is only the start, and this is only there's a lot more to come over the horizon. So, really excited about the future, and Smokey, really appreciate the opportunity, you and Invoke, to come on and have this great discussion.
Yeah, it's been fun hanging out. I think we've both learned a lot from talking to you about the game.
Yeah,
I hope the viewers do too.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it.
Where each deck fitted, even though I'm prone to snap that. Known to be so quick-witted, you sound Odrax when you snap back. When everyone knows it rains Jess Jones on the tap mat. Think your boss sings the flow, administer vision if you're not at the spot I blow with a skip track. You tried to blow back the roof, so my armor said I will skip that. Jubilee still got a +1, Okoye said she's with that. Cause the Nightman cometh, Iceman stunneth, while the Hulkman smashing America ass who done it? Snapverse 616. Snapverse 616. Snapverse 616. Snapverse 616. Then Invoke drops Kazar cause he's Mr. Fantastic. His spectrum of skills are what let me handle this rap shit. His puff up, his clutch up, smokes 3 sacks like it's magic. But it's a Wolfsbane classic. You thought your full moon's Jurassic, but it's actually tragic. If I'm a silver fox with the flippity yippity yapping, he's quick like a rabbit. His girls unfurling squirrels while his flirkins hurling antics. Invoke the hawk-eyed watcher who ought to see through your static.